So this is the Speak Easy podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of what it is to be the successfully paid speaker and author. With that being said, I am your host, Altovise Pelzer, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, Amazon bestselling author, and founder of the World Voice League, a community of entrepreneurs and speakers coming together to impact social change. With that being said, I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about this here topic. So there is people all up in arms because a school paid a motivational speaker basically totaling about $60,000 for him to come to speak at their school. Now, this is the thing. When you initially look at the article, all you see is, of course, the headline. Y'all know headlines are to catch your attention. It's to clickbait you. But that they were paying $10,000 for this motivational speaker to come out. What they did not say in the headline was that the $10,000 for him to come out, first of all, the him that we're talking about is Eric Thomas, is E.T. And so we all know that he is a phenomenal motivational speaker. But not only that literally it was not for the students, it was for the faculty and staff. And so literally about 200 school employees had an opportunity to come and be motivated and get some inspiration from Eric Thomas. Now, how powerful is that? Extremely. But we got to play devil's advocate and we got to be on both sides of the coin on this one, because we think about, first of all, this particular school is in Palm Beach, guys, first and foremost. The Palm Beach High School, Palm Beach Lakes High School. And so, that's another reason why people are kind of up in arms, because there are schools that are drowning in, trying to provide just the basic things. But this particular school was actually a part of a program. And so they got extra funding into the school to be able to do some things that they thought would make a huge impact. And granted, this particular school, underneath the principal, Alfonso, this particular school actually just raised their performance. So they raised their performance to about a C, which is good. I don't know what it was beforehand, but if they said they raised it, then we know that it at least had to be a D, if not an F, that part. So he was able to raise the performance, which is good, which speaks volumes. But not only that, we have to look and say, okay, what's the end game? The end game is we want to make sure that our students have everything that they need. That means putting our teachers in position, putting our staff, faculty, and staff in position, and in a mindset to be able to do what works best for our students. That was the key mindset when going and doing this contract with Eric Thomas. Now, why is this important? I'm going to tell you why. If you have not shared out the broadcast or shared out this particular episode, I don't know what you're waiting for, but now is the time to do it. Because I really want to talk to you and dig in a little deeper when it comes to you sharing your unique story. So many of us get nervous about telling our true story, what it is that we've been through, the overcomer story, the traveling up the other side of the hill, of the other side of the mountain, behind the mountain story. So many of us struggle with wanting to tell that story, but here's why it is so important. Eric Thomas, we know, was a high school dropout. Eric Thomas now makes a good, decent amount of money as a motivational speaker. But why? Because he holds nothing back. He does programs where he's teaching other speakers. I had the opportunity to connect with one of the speakers that's a part of his program, Frank Sagasta, who was a part of a summit that we did last month in the month of February. And amazing stories, amazing people. When I tell you they go all in, they go all in. But here's the thing. They're trying to prevent their students from going through what it is that Eric went through. Are you catching on? Are you catching what I'm putting? Are you catching what I'm putting down? They are attempting to make sure that their students do not go through the same things that Eric Thomas went through. Now, are they able to stop every situation? No. Are they able to help every single student? No, they wish they could. But if you can bring somebody in who's been through the journey that you're trying to stop your own students from going through, wouldn't that be an asset to you? And how much of a price would you put on that? How much of a price could you put on that? Imagine if one of the, somebody from the Crips or somebody from the Bloods who's no longer in it, who went through that whole process. Imagine them coming back and talking to the students about what it is they went through. Someone who has the battle wound, somebody who has they can't vote because they've been in jail, somebody who's going through those things. How much of an impact can that make on the teachers? How much of an impact can that make on the students? Especially if they may have gotten out because they had a teacher that held on to their hand and walked them through the process. They had a teacher that did not give up on them or wouldn't let them quit in class. Think about the impact that goes and reinforces for those teachers that are listening to that story. That part. So again, let's talk about this. So yes, $10,000 is quite a lot of money. And Paula said it in the comments. Yes, the teachers definitely need to be motivated. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The teachers need to be motivated the same way that the students need to be motivated. It's so interesting because we know that our teachers, they don't get a lot of money. And mind you, this is the thing. Now, this is the other piece of it that you had to actually read the article to understand, is that the money was to, was to be able to send teachers out to get training or something along that lines, right? That amount that he paid would have only paid for maybe about 5 teachers or so to go out to do a training. So let's look at the dollars and cents here. Let's look at the dollars and cents. So $10,000 to have Eric Thomas come to the school and do a training with the teachers, a 4-hour training with the teachers, as opposed to you only sending out 5 teachers. Well, no, I'm sorry. Him coming in and doing a 4-hour training with the whole staff, 200 people. Y'all not understanding. If you do the math, then you're going to understand that no, it doesn't come out. It don't come out the way you thought it was going to come out. It most definitely does not come out the way that you thought it was going to come out. I'm trying to told you. I hope that you understand right now what it is I'm saying to you. So if we do the numbers, let's do the numbers. They got exactly, and Paula just said it in the comments, they got a deal. So you got 10,000. Let's do the numbers. Let's do the math. And you have a 200 employees. That means that they only paid $50 per person for a 4-hour training from Eric Thomas. Now, Eric Thomas has programs that are like $5,000 a person, $10,000 a person. A person. I'm quite sure of it. Here it is. They were getting this training for $50 a person. Y'all go ahead and think about it. Don't worry. I'll wait. See, we get caught up when we see the numbers, and immediately people started saying, well, $10,000, they could have just paid that to the teachers. Hold it. Because it wasn't just the teachers that were affected by this. I just told you that 200 school employees got this training. So that's 200 people. So, and granted, when you think about a school, the school is not run just by the teachers. It is not just run by the teachers. It's not just ran by the principal. It's not just ran by the staff and the admin staff and secretarial staff. It's not just ran by a nurse. You got so many different other people that all got to get in on this training at that amount. Now, It goes further. And this is the thing, because so many of you think about, oh, well, okay. The big thing is, oh, schools are broke and schools this, schools that. This is the thing. Eric Thomas has been doing events at schools for years. He's been doing events at schools and impacting schools, students and teachers for years, guys. It just so happened that somebody got a hold of this particular event and got a hold of the dollar amount for this particular event, and they kind of like, flew off the handle. Now, granted, I understand, because they were saying some good things. So $10,000 for half a day, 4 hours. We know that it's about 8 hours that they're normally there. They were talking about how it's more than what the teachers earn in a month, that $10,000. But again, when we look at it, the money was supposed to be allocated for teacher trainings, and that's what they did. But instead of him just sending a couple teachers out to a training, he brought the training to them. He brought Eric Thomas to this facility, to the school, and had the training there. Get it? Think about it. Think about the dollars and cents of it. Think about the thing of it. Now, granted, there was a separate contract for the $50,000 for him to come back and do programs or do trainings or things with the parents and the students. Again, that speaks volumes. You have someone who has gone through being a high school dropout to come back and to talk to not only the students, which we already know and you can go and look on YouTube and see the impact that Eric Thomas has on speaking to students. But to speak to students and parents, that speaks volumes, right? That says a lot. Because some of these parents, we remember, it costs money to go see Eric Thomas. And some of these parents, again, they're parents that are working 2 and 3 jobs sometimes. They're parents that their children are latchkey kids. They're parents that, they're going and they hardly make it to the school. They need motivation themselves. And then they still trying to make sure that their children have what they need. That part. So they did a separate contract. Now, the money for the separate contract did not come from that same amount. It didn't. That same whatever program that gave them the $10,000, it didn't come from that. It was completely separate. It was something different. But you got to look at this. And it was sessions with parents and students. That's crazy when you think about it in the long scheme of it. That's crazy. To not just think about your staff, to not just think about your students, but to think about the parents as well. That goes above and beyond what most schools actually do. And what most school districts are able to do. Now, granted, a lot of other schools, I'm sure, were upset because they didn't have that amount come to them, or they weren't allowed to be in that or not allowed, but they weren't in the program in order to receive the funding, or there may have been other schools that received funding and did not do certain things like that. I know just recently our students are the high school that my children go to. They did an African American festival, African American History Festival, and had some speakers come in. Now, I don't know behind the scenes how much was paid, but I know that it was a powerful message because of the people that they had come in. One of them being an amazing musician that had all of the students, all the musicians at the school. Yeah, like they were like super excited. They got signed copies of his album, the album. Not CD, album. Yeah. My daughter just heard me and ran to go get the album so I can show y'all. Not CD, album. That part. But what does that do? It helps to go and make everybody a little more unified. There it is. Bernard Purdy. That is one of the people. And he came and he played at the school. The kids loved it. And like I said, you can see all the musicians in the that are like part of band and the different programs at the school, they were like, they gave standing applause. But again, it gave you the opportunity to learn something and understand something and see something from a different perspective. Sometimes, as parents, we know that our children can hear us say something and hear somebody else say the same exact thing, and pay attention when the other person says it, not necessarily when we say it. It can be the same words. Y'all know. Listen, I'm not the only one. I have 4 teenagers. Y'all know. Y'all understand it. But yeah, you got to understand that this is how we reach the students. Sometimes we got to bridge that gap between the people that have been through certain situations and the ones we're trying to make sure that they don't go through those same situations. We got to bridge that gap. And in order to bridge the gap, you got to be willing to do something you've never done before. Can we ultimately say that you have to be willing to do something you have not done before? Why is that? Well, listen, if I'm willing to do something I've never done before, that brings me to a moment of saying, okay, well, no, I've never done this before. There's something new that could happen here. It may cost a little bit more than what we normally would charge. It may, mean us stepping outside of our comfort zone, us connecting with people we've never connected with before. But guess what? We're looking towards doing something different, getting different results. Doing the same thing and looking for different results is what? The definition of insanity. That's what our schools look like right now. Can we be honest? That's what our schools look like right now, is the definition of insanity. Certain school districts and cities have been closing schools left and right, only to reopen schools as other programs. And it's a mess. Overcrowding the classes and the schools and the programs in the schools. Guys, we got to be willing to do something different. So I applaud them for, taking this opportunity to try something different. And like I said, when we look at that price tag and we say $10,000, oh my goodness, you paid $10,000 to a motivational speaker to come out. And people that don't understand the impact that a motivational speaker can have, guys, you may not understand it. You may have never sat in front of a motivational speaker and had that opportunity to have your life impacted. But guess what? Here it is. They had this opportunity. Don't shame them for it. Don't try to make them feel bad about it. This is a great experience. That could be a great experience, not just, again, for the students, but a great experience for the staff, a great experience for the parents. Like I said, there's a whole nother piece that was brought in when they, did the second contract and that part. But so some of the things that really stood out for me in this particular message was that, empowerment is definitely needed in our schools. And it's not just needed by our students. That our teachers, the staff, they all need some type of empowerment. We cannot think that people can just go from day to day to day without getting some encouragement, some support. And a lot of times that's where we've been, that's where we have been in the past, is that we think that we can just push people to the limit and that they're going to be okay, right? They'll get it together. They'll figure it out. But the reality is we got to think before we get to the point of having all these teachers have all these breaking points, that there's something that needs to change. There's something that needs to be a little different. And so empowerment is needed in our schools. And then number 2 is that teachers need the encouragement just as much as the students. Teachers still have lives. We got to understand, guys, teachers are still people. They still have situations going on. They still have things that happen. So we got to understand that not only are our students needing this encouragement and this support and this motivation, but our teachers need it as well. They still have to go home and take care of families and husbands and children and houses that may be falling apart, or a cat or a dog. I mean, you never know. As well as other things going on in their home, in their lives, family members, sick parents, and all of these other things. They need that support. They need that encouragement. Yes, they do need the money as well. Trust and believe. But again, this money was not allocated to be given to the teachers themselves. It was to be used to send them to training. And this particular principal decided to switch it and bring the training to the whole staff at the school. I think that is powerful. So he gets a high five from me for that one. Exactly. And Paula just said it in the comments. They're human as well. They have lives. They are. So they need that support. And then number 3 is results speaks volumes. So this is the thing, is that people may complain about the amount that he paid. And oh my goodness, why would a high school pay $10,000 to a motivational speaker? But results speak volumes. So if they pay the $10,000 and they're seeing an improvement in their school performance, then what is that saying to you? That's saying that maybe you should have been using motivational speakers at the schools before now. It's saying that maybe we should have been doing these types of trainings for the teachers before now, if we're seeing an increase in performance. Because guess what? It's a trickle-down effect. Whatever we do at the head is going to trickle down. So if we empower the teachers and give them what they need and give them the support they need, and then it trickles down to the students. Now the students are able to get exactly what they need, the support that they need, and the motivation that they need. And so then they're going home and they're impacting households. That's what we fail to realize too, is that the more that we empower our youth, the more that they're taking that back little bit by little bit and taking it home. And no matter what home life situation they may be going through, they can take those little bits and pieces of things that they're getting and take it back home to be able to help somebody else. Exactly. That trickle down effect is so powerful. It's so very powerful. So now, as a speaker, what does that mean for you? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you held on this long to get this little tidbit of information. Your consistency speaks volumes. Eric Thomas has been consistent in his message. He has been consistent in his empowerment. He has been consistent in his journey and helping the youth. He has been consistent in showing up. He has been consistent in telling his story. Consistency speaks volumes. I get it. We see the brand new hype, we see the brand new thing, and we want to kind of jump to that because we saw somebody who was successful in doing that, not understanding that it took them time to get to that level of success. Eric Thomas did not show up yesterday. He didn't show up last week. He's been around. He's been in this game for a minute when it comes to motivational speaking, when it comes to speaking as a profession. He's been in the game for a minute. Your consistency speaks volumes. Not only that, you have to be willing to be transparent. If Eric Thomas came on the scene and never wanted to tell anybody about the things that he had gone through, never wanted to tell anybody about being a dropout, never wanted to tell anybody about all of those things, what would have happened? Easily, he would have gotten to a point where people would have just been like, oh, well, it's the same old stuff. It's nothing really special about him. He's just giving us fluff. One of the things that you'll always see from Eric Thomas when you see his events, when you see his videos, is you see that passion when he's talking every time. And you know, I'm a Philly girl, so Philly girls, we talk with our hands. It doesn't mean that I'm about to hit you. Can we be honest right now? Can we just put that out there? I talk with my hands. It doesn't mean I'm about to hit you. It doesn't mean that, you know, no, it just means I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. And as a speaker, I talk with my hands. When you see E.T., he talks with his hands. And you can always tell when he's gotten to a point where it's like really, he's like all in at that moment. Because now he's talking and he's hitting his hands and everything. Somebody on the outside looking in may think he's a little aggressive. But that's not it. When you are a speaker and you are passionate about what you're talking about, guess what? It comes out. I am somebody who speaks with my hands. So as I'm talking, the more I'm into the topic, the more you see my hands move, right? Now, it's interesting because when we think about the old world school of thought, when it comes to being a speaker, you were told that you're not supposed to do a whole lot of motion with your hands. That, you know, they kind of wanted you to be a little more robotic because they didn't want you to be distracting. And I get it. That could be distracting for some people. But when somebody is passionate about something, you see it in their body language. You see it in how they stand. You see it in how they're presenting themselves. But for those that talk with their hands, especially creatives, I don't know what it is about creatives that we really always talk with our hands, but you see them talking with their hands. Everything is, you know, putting it out there, just like this. Guess what? It's just because of the passion, guys. It's a little aggression. It's a little bit, but it's because of the passion more than anything else, guys. So I need you guys to understand that. We're not trying to beat nobody up. We're not trying to beat nobody up. We're just passionate. But not only that, it's really important for you to see that, listen, that's what we need. We need people who are not just regurgitating information. Can we say that it's time out for that now? I get it. There are many speakers that are out there, and that's what they do. They just regurgitate information. They're not really passionate about what they're speaking about. And you can tell they're not really someone who, when they're speaking, you get into the conversation and what they're talking about. They're not even for me, one of the things that is a turnoff for me is somebody who uses PowerPoint and they read every line on, like they have the whole speech is on PowerPoint and they're reading every line. You could have just handed me the PowerPoint. That doesn't show me your passion. It doesn't show me that you're really engaged and interested in this particular topic. I've always felt like that since I was younger. I've always felt that way. But guess what? It works for some people. I need somebody that's passionate. And he's definitely somebody that's passionate and that can take, hopefully, what it is that he had and give it to them and allow them to be able to do some powerful things with it. So that was really, what stood out for me. That is what really truly stood out for me on so many different levels, simply because I know that, again, he's passionate. He wasn't going to come in there and give them fluff, that part. Now, again, let's go back for those of you who are just coming in and they say he deserves the money. Listen, he does. He puts in work. He definitely is not a straggler. He puts in the work. He does. And his story is amazing. His story is so powerful. The studio audience is like, yes, passion makes the difference in everything you do. Michael said, listen, don't complain when rappers or preachers do it. It's the non-passions, come on, that want to tame the gift. That's it. You got to understand. He's getting $60,000 to do this program or these sessions. He did a training for $10,000, $10,000 it was for all the staff. It was for all the employees. So it was about 200 employees. Guys, did you hear that number? It was 200 employees. And we just did the math for you. If you may have come in a little later, but 200 employees at $10,000 is only $50 a person. And any of you that know Eric Thomas, you know that going to one of his events, you're going to pay more than $50 to get in. One of his trainings, you're going to pay more than $50 to get into the training. You're not going to pay $50. And he does go all in, and he's very passionate. But not only that, they also was signing another contract, another program for him to come back and do sessions with the parents and the students. And I said that really spoke volumes about what they felt about the parents and the students that are in their particular high school. Now, is this something that every school can do? No. At this moment, it's not something every school can do. Is it something that they can do on a lower scale? It is. Eric Thomas is a higher name when it comes, he's a big name when it comes to motivational speaking, but there are motivational speakers everywhere. And so schools, this is something for you to think about. If he was able to bring in a motivational speaker and that you see that performance going up in his school, then what does that say to you about your school? Are you bringing in motivational speakers to talk to your teachers and staff? Are you bringing in motivational speakers that can talk to your students? I get it that we have testing and we have all of these things that we need to have done for the students. They have to have all of these different tests they have to take. We get that. But how are we keeping them motivated to actually want to come to school? I mean, we even got to a point where we was putting parents in jail because kids weren't coming to school. Well, the parents now is missing days from work, so now they got to work overtime. So now they really can't be there for the student. I mean, it's crazy, right? The school of thought around this whole thing when it comes to parents and students, and it's kind of like we're on we're on the hamster wheel. We kind of keep going around in circles and not really making any advances. That's what it is. We're kind of going around in circles and not making any advances. And here it is. Somebody said, I'm getting off the hamster wheel and we're going to do something different, and folk are in an uproar. So that's what happens. We got to understand it. Listen, exactly. And Michael just made a very, very powerful statement. He said, if your kids are getting on the up and up from it versus prison, drugs, etc., then it's priceless. You cannot put a price on that. And like I said, the school performance, it has been up. It rose up. So if the school performance rose up, we've really got to take a look at that and say, okay, yeah, we can't really put a price on that at all. That's key. That's really key. And so it was interesting. I thought I would bring that topic to my audience, knowing that you are speakers and authors. And a lot of times you get discouraged because you think, oh, I can't, this is not something I can do professionally, or this is not a full-time job. It is a full-time job. It is. There is going to be work that needs to be done. Trust and believe. But not only that, guys, you got to realize that there's somebody that needs you. Just like that school needed Eric Thomas, they need other speakers. You may not get paid $10,000, but if you have a program, why wouldn't you want to go and be a part of that? I tell people all the time, I said, I did a training on programs that you can do in schools, colleges, how to reach out to them. I even gave email scripts, everything. But people miss it because they think, oh, well, they're not going to want me to come speak at their school. No, they want somebody famous. They want somebody that's going to come in and do the work. They want somebody that's not just showing up for a paycheck. That part. They want somebody that's not just showing up for a paycheck. As a mother of 4 who's in a public high school, now our school is pretty good. Like I said, they have stuff that they do that a lot of high schools now don't do. But knowing where we came from in Philadelphia and what's going on in the high schools there, I think I think having motivational speakers come out and do programs at schools would definitely change some things. For one, it would change the conversation. Because again, when you're hearing something from one person over and over and over again, it may not click. You hear it from somebody else and just like that, it might click. You don't know how many lives could be saved from implementing programs like this. Kudos to the program that actually sent out the money for them to be able to bring Eric Thomas to the school. Because that speaks volumes as well. Going back and saying, you know what, we know that there's really some things that need to change. Let me put my money where my mouth is. Instead of just saying what needs to be done in schools, let me go back and be the one to make some changes happen and finance it. Go ahead and be the one to say, okay, this is my contribution to making our schools better. That speaks a lot, right? That part. So I'm super excited. Thank you guys, those who came in. Thank you for sharing out the broadcast. I appreciate you guys. Those of you who are just joining me, make sure that you go back and catch this from the beginning, because this is definitely a topic that needed to be discussed. $10,000 to have Eric Thomas come and speak at a high school. Originally, like I said, if you just look at it, you would think that he was coming just to speak to the students for $10,000, which even still is still a lot. And it still doesn't equal out. But he was actually coming to speak to the staff, 200 employees, which made it about $50 per person. So that part, because you still got to get paid, you still got to make sure that your children eat. But not only that, you also have to look at the time that was being put in. It was a 4-hour training, or it was, I think that was what they had on there, like a 4-hour training, half a day. That's a lot. But I'm not going, I wouldn't turn down $10,000 for working 4 hours either. That part, I wouldn't turn down. Yeah, not at all. And like I said, Eric Thomas is he's a great motivator. And if you're seeing changes happen, you got to go back and say, okay, something with this, huh? There's something about this whole motivational speaking thing. We might have to go and do some other stuff, that part. Yeah, come on. Michael said it. Real talk. Alpha masculinity, person of color, empowering. If Steve Jobs, no complaints, just my thought. Exactly. If Jeff Bezos told you that he would come to your school and talk to your staff, I mean, you got to think, what's going to be the impact of that? Depending on where this school, and this is, now I'm thinking too, a lot of it comes from, because it's a Palm Beach school, Palm Beach Lakes High School. So it's like, what school is this? Oh, yeah, you know how people are. But then, like I said, you look at it and they're like, well, that could have went to paying the teachers. Well, if you really look at it, $10,000 with paying teachers would not have actually been a whole lot of money, extra money for the teachers. It would have not. When you look at the dollars and cents, it definitely would not have been a lot of extra money. But like I said, this one thing, and this is not saying that this is something they're doing every year. They're not saying that every year they're going to be paying him $10,000 to come out. No, but it was definitely a shift. When I think about Ron Clark and Ron Clark Academy, it was a shift. It was a shift that was needed. And he said, what we've been doing, again, if you keep doing the same thing, looking for a different result, that's insanity. So what we've been doing has not been working in the school districts all throughout the nation. What we've been doing is not working. So now that we realize that what we're doing is not working, what are we going to do to shift that? What are we going to do to change it? And he said, well, y'all ain't got to change it. I'll change it. Y'all go ahead and stay over there. And he opened his own school. And literally, he's been changing lives ever since, because he decided to step away from what was the normal way of doing school. And he stepped away from what everybody considered, was, how it's supposed to be done. No. And he brings motivational speakers. They have events where Oprah comes and talks to them at the school, or she'll do a video chat with the students, and they have different ones that'll come to the school and engage with the students. Why? Because you understand that, and the students and the staff, and that's another program, Ron Clark Academy. They go every year, and teachers can come in and do a training at their school and be trained by not just the teachers, but trained by the students. When you see something else is working, now we got to start looking around and saying, what are they doing different than what we're doing? And how do we need to make that shift? That part. And I'm gonna end it by saying this. We're in a time where a lot of retail jobs are closing. I want you to pay attention to this. A lot of retail jobs are closing. But if you're somebody that pays attention to the news, now I'm not a big news watcher, so don't think of it like that. But retail jobs are closing, but factory jobs are opening up. I know we were just hearing about one of the car companies opening up more factories. So factory jobs are opening up, but retail jobs are closing. So we're moving back into an era of there being a whole bunch of factory jobs, which may or may not be the best. We don't know. So that's what's going on. So if we can empower them and impact and influence them to do something that can change that can go and they can go and create new things. They can go and create new programs and products and services. They can go and create new things. Why stop them? Why not give them everything they need? Hey, Felicia Day. Hey, sis. Why not give them everything that they need? Yeah, like I said, $10,000, when you look at the number, it's a big number. But when you think about it, $10,000 for 200 employees, that's not a big number. It's $50 a person. And then the $50,000 program was him going back and working with the students and the parents, which I cannot see you putting a price on that. Now, how they paid for it, like I said, there was a program and they were allocated the money for the trainings and things. So how they paid for it, I can't get into the nuts and bolts of it. But when we see them the following year and the following year, and we see the impact that it makes, then we can go back and say, was it really worth it or not worth it, right? Because right now, you can't really say that it wasn't worth it because you don't know the impact that it's going to make. That part. So I just had to come and bring that to you guys. I know that you're like, man, I wouldn't mind getting paid $60,000 to go and teach at a school for 4 hours. We didn't get $60,000 to teach 4 hours. He got $10,000 for the 4 hours. But he did get another $50 for doing programs and sessions with parents and students. So like I said, it's great, but it's also not just him. Can we be honest? Eric Thomas may not be going back to do the sessions himself with the parents and students. He has a whole camp. He has a whole community. He has people that he has trained thoroughly. I told you guys, one of them was on the summit last month. He has people that he trains and works with that go and do different programs and that he teams up with that can go and do different programs at schools as well. So don't think it's him by himself. Again, that's not a nothing number for him to be able to do it, but still, he's not doing it on his own. He definitely has a team. I'm super excited, guys. We are moving and shaking. We are literally about to come up on year number 2. We're about to go into year number 3 for the Speak Easy podcast, and it has been phenomenal. Some great insight, great information. But not only that, I have some special segments that we'll be doing within the next few weeks, over the next few weeks, I'll say, on Wednesday nights. Some powerhouse entrepreneurs that are going to be coming on and sharing with you some information. But not only that, you get another dose of the Speakeasy podcast because we're going to be doing it on Wednesday nights. So now we got Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, Wednesday morning in the Desire to Inspire community, and then Wednesday evening right back here on the Speakeasy podcast Facebook page. Or you can catch the replay always by going to bit.ly/Speakeasy podcast show, all lowercase. With that being said, I appreciate you guys. And if you are a speaker, an author, or an entrepreneur, I would love to have you on as a guest. bit.ly/Speakeasy podcast is how you can go and pick a date that works best for you. I am your host, Altovise Pelzer, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, Amazon best-selling author. Yes, the newest book is Speak Up, boom, with Dr. George Frazier doing our foreword and Les Brown doing the afterword. I'm super excited about that one. And then got a whole new book anthology that we're rolling up on as well. So until next time, guys, Don't forget to press it out. See ya.